Hello, good evening. Today is Sunday, January 14th, and episode 3 of the program. Today I've got Richard Proulx on, uh, residential solar specialist with SkyFire Energy. Richard, welcome to the show. How are you?
Hi, I'm doing great. Thank you so much, Jesse. It's a pleasure being here for you.
Awesome. So those that know us will know that we are brothers or half brothers. Technically, we have the same dad, different moms. Met back in the summer of 2009, and Richard's on for a urgent broadcast here with regards to the Greener Homes program. So what we will look at doing is getting together and doing a full-length broadcast on SkyFire itself. And then if people are curious, maybe I'll have you back on the show and we'll do a little backstory of our story and how we ended up here today. But for now, we'll just focus on the Greener Homes program and why is it an urgent broadcast? What's going on with that? So why don't you take it away in terms of what's going on with the Greener Homes program here?
Yeah, so it's been a national grant and incentive that's been around for about 3.5 years. They were initially hoping that it would last until about 2027, but it was either that date or until they ran out of funds, and it seems like they are running out of money. So we've been issued a notification that it's going to be expiring for people on March 2024. So it's coming up pretty quick here. But people who have enrolled before March are still eligible for the grant. And then there's also a $40,000 interest-free loan that's paired with that as well too. So that is kind of your last kick at the can. So you don't have to have your system installed before March. You just have to be enrolled and have everything in the process ready to go.
Okay, so I mean, we're middle of January, so we have 2 weeks January, we have February. Is it ending March 1st or the end of March, or did they give you any indication on when in March that would be wrapping up?
So far, there's been no specific dates that I've seen. They just said it was stated for March 2024. So I'm going to assume it's the first day. Let's call it midnight on the very last day of
Midnight,
yeah, of
March
February.
1st. You're out of luck if you don't have it booked in. Maybe you'll get some more time, but maybe not, right? It's not guaranteed.
Exactly. We're hoping that it will be extended. But so far, all we've been told is you've got till March 2024 to enroll and hurry up and get on it.
Okay, so I know that I mean obviously, well, I guess it's not obvious, but I have done the Greener Homes program. You helped me with that with the solar, and so I've got solar. I understand that there's other options for homeowners, like they can do insulation, they can do windows and doors, they can do heat pumps. But because you're working at Skyfire Solar Panel Company, let's just focus on what does that look like from your perspective. So the summary kind of start to finish. Like, let's say somebody says, okay, this is $5,000 that I can get free money towards the system. Richard, let's move ahead. And it's today. How do we get going? What does that look like if someone says, let's start today, Richard?
Yeah, so you're absolutely correct. How it's offering not just incentives for solar alone, but in my opinion, solar is the best bang for your buck because they're offering $1,000 per kilowatt up to 5 kilowatts. And the average size system is about 5 to 7 kilowatts. So most people that I've been working with are able to get that full incentive. But let's say you're ready to go today, and all you would need is a estimate or a firm quote from me, not just me, but my company in general. So what we would do is we would provide you with an estimate. If you liked how that looked, then I would show up to your house and I would do a solar site assessment. That's where I fly my drone. I take about 250 photos with the drone. We stitch all those together to build a 3D model. And with that, I can make measurements of your roof accurate within about 5 centimeters of variance. And then I can set little view sheds on every square foot of your roof to calculate how much sun you'll get annually. And that's very important for us to make sure that we can put solar in all the right spots for you. And then once I've provided that, I'm also going to give you an attic inspection. So I'll peek my head up in the attic for some photos and videos for our structural engineer. And then I'll do a load calculation on your breaker panel. So I'll shut the power off. I'll take the faceplate off your breaker panel, and I'll take pictures and look at the stickers of all your bus ratings and stuff to make sure that you have the backfeed capacity for a system our size. But once all that's complete, then I'll provide you with a firm quotation. And with that, then you can take that to the Greener Homes Grant website. I kind of got ahead of myself there. So the very first thing people need to do is apply. So by applying is enrolling. And then a couple days after that, you'll get an email saying, yep, you've been you've been enrolled with the program, and here's your number. And now you have permission to have a pre-energy inspection. So that's not the same as our solar inspections, because in order for you to get the grant, you have to have a third-party energy auditing company come and complete an energy model of your house. So consider that like a before picture. So they're going to come to your house, and they'll give your house an EnerGuide rating. So they'll look at things that like your windows, your insulation, cracks in the basement. They pretty much look at everything. They'll give your house an EnerGuide rating, just like some of your appliances do. Mm-hmm. And after that before picture is taken, that's when they will make some recommendations for you. And one of those recommendations would be solar. And then again, to everything else like windows, caulking, insulation, all that stuff is included. But once you've had that pre-inspection complete, that's when you are able to have your retrofit.
The quote basically from you, right? You do your thing. So the step one then is that going to the Greener Homes? It's been a little while since I did it, so this is a refresher for me too. So you're saying step one is going to, I think you said the Greener Homes grant and enrolling on there, and then that's the first thing that people will want to do, and then
Correct,
get that
yes.
number in a few days.
Yeah, so it's the Natural Resource Canada website. It's pretty much a one-pager, and then it'll allow you to apply at the very bottom of it, and it only takes about 2 or 3 minutes to get the whole process complete. And then
okay, so I'll link that down below for anyone if they want, so then they don't have to go looking for it. They can just check down in the comments below. I'll put it in the pinned comment, something up at the top anyways, people will see it.
Perfect. Yeah. So as long as you have your pre-energy inspection complete before we've installed solar, you won't have any opportunity to miss the grant. So essentially you have to have a pre-energy inspection, we install solar, a post-energy inspection, and then they send you the money in the mail. So as I mentioned before, they're offering you $1,000 per kilowatt up to 5 kilowatts. And then they'll actually give you an additional $600 on top of that as well. And that's to help reimburse you for that pre and post inspection that needs to take place.
Oh, right. I remember that. Yeah. So it's $1 per kilowatt, 5 kilowatts, $5,000 essentially. If their system is over 5 kilowatts, then they could take advantage of all that. And then you've got the pre and post inspection, which you get $600 for that. So this cutoff of March 1st, we're going to say like 11:59, it turns over to 12 on March 1st. It's over, which we don't know for sure, but we'll see. As long as someone has that number, then they've enrolled in the program and they have that number, then they should be okay, I think. Is that what you're saying?
I believe so, yes. That's from what I've heard.
Okay.
There's a number of people that I've talked to. Every time you call the 1-800 number, because they have a grant specific number and a loan specific number. And anytime I kind of talk to them, they all kind of say different things. But from the report that I've received, it says March 2024. So most people, they've given them over a year to go complete their retrofits, because they're not just going to be doing solar. They're not just going to be doing windows or anything. Sometimes they'll pair it with a number of different things. Right. So they've made sure that they've given enough people enough time to complete those retrofits for everybody.
Okay. So that, I mean, it's not 100% crystal clear. So it sounds like if people want to do this, if they're considering doing it, do it as soon as possible. Don't wait till the end of February and like, oh, I think, well, I'll just put it off, right? Like this should be a top priority then if somebody is really considering doing that.
I would say so, yes. If you're serious, enroll today or next week or within the next several days.
Mhm.
just to make sure that you've got your foot in the door. Because again, too, what I've noticed in the last even month here, because we've known this for about a month now, and it's, it was already busy in the solar industry, but now we've got a flurry of all these people rushing almost in like a panic to try to get in. And one of the number one things that I'm doing is just educating people, letting them know what we can do for solar, the process of how the grant works, and don't panic because your system does not have to be installed by March. Because right now we're installing, April, May right now. Like that, we're that far out with our installs, so it
You're
wouldn't
looking that
happen
far
before
out.
March. Correct. Yeah. So they just want to make sure that people aren't just going to be trying to rush in 11:59 p.m. the last day of February.
Yeah, that makes sense. I actually came up with a couple other things. I'll just keep a mental note for that. You mentioned the grant is ending, but the Greener Homes loan, is that still gonna be a active program for now, or is that ending as well?
So that again is a great question. From what I've heard, it's a maybe. Again,
Okay.
too, as soon as I get an updated letter from them and stuff, something in writing, then I'll be sure to share that with you.
Okay.
Because they're offering a $40,000 interest-free loan, and they'll give you up to 10 years to pay that back. And it's not very often you get something for free from the government. So it's also a very good opportunity for you to, levelize the cost of solar for your system for the next 10 years. But
Yeah,
from
interest-free
from what
loan.
I know, yeah, that could be a maybe. So the
Okay.
loan is still on the table, I believe. Don't hold me to that, but yeah, the grant for sure is evaporating. The loan might be available after that.
Okay, well, we're just talking conceptually here, right? We don't know. You're doing your best to inform people so that they could get in the program before time runs out. So, I mean, we can't hold Richard to this. He's just doing his best here. Um, and then, yeah, interest-free loan. I did some quick numbers. You sent me a couple links to those, the Greener Homes program. And so, yeah, at 40,000, if someone was able to qualify for $40,000 loan, 10-year amortization, 0% interest, that's 333 bucks and change per month that they to pay that money back, but it's 0%. So I mean, it's a great deal to get 0%, especially in this market with higher interest rates. Um,
Exactly. And the average cost for a system to get you to net zero is around 25,000. So only if you needed to go, if your consumption was huge, if it was double or triple what the average consumption is, which is about 650 kilowatt hours per month. Um, if you needed a system that large, then yeah, $40,000 would be considered a very large system. So you don't necessarily need all that. So that's why people are pairing that with, let's say, a heat pump, air conditioner, electric hot water tanks, windows, all that stuff. So it's not just solar. There's a lot on the board.
Right. Yeah, you can pair that up in order to do the loan, as long as you get the pre-assessment, and that's on the pre-assessment of things that you would qualify for, then you can go ahead and get some quotes and do that. So you said, like, let's give people a number now since you brought it up, because I think my system was considerably lower than that. And it's probably around the average size, right? Or maybe a little bit smaller, I don't know, it's probably around the average size, right? So what would the average homeowner that calls you up and says, Richard, quote me a system? Obviously, we're not going to hold you to it, but maybe give a range of like, this is kind of like the low end of what their system would quote out. This is kind of the high end of what a house system would quote out.
Yeah, so whenever we're trying to determine the maximum system size that we can give you, we have to look at a few things. We have to look at the available space that's on your roof, because you need to have the square footage to put the solar on your roof. And then we need to look at your breaker panel to see if you've got the actual physical space for the actual solar breakers to go on to your breaker panel. And then
Mhm.
we need to look at your consumption. So that's the number one important thing, because homes are only allowed to produce as much solar as they've consumed in the last 12 months or calendar year. So sometimes if somebody buys a brand new house and they've only lived in there for 2 months, then they don't have 12 months worth of data. So at that point, we can average out what they do have and hope that they don't have their microgeneration application bounce. And your microgeneration application is essentially a permit that allows you to create your own power and to sell it back to the grid for a credit or a tariff, they call it. So with your system, I wouldn't say you were small by any means, but your consumption was very low. So that's good. You want that. The average house, I said, it uses about 650 kilowatt hours per month, which works out to be close to approximately 7,000 kilowatt hours per year. And with that, the system size that we're generally installing for people like that is anywhere from 5 to 6 kilowatts. So that's going to get you over that threshold to get that actual grant for $5,000. But again, too, some people, they want big, they want huge, they want to max out everything on their roof. And we can do that only if your consumption matches that. Because some people have extremely large roofs and they have very low consumption. So we can only really give them, let's say, 8 or 9 or 10 modules. That's 10 solar panels.
So they don't want you to get into the power business, basically. The idea is to offset the costs of what your home is using, but not to be, oh, I'm selling back to the grid all this power.
Correct. Yeah, they don't want people to monetize the system. So
Okay.
if you look at it, you will be breaking even, and that's what the net zero rule is homes can only produce as much as they've consumed. But in your spring, summer, and fall, those peak performing months, you will be overproducing and selling that energy back to the grid at the same rate you're buying it at, or the same price, pretty much.
Okay, well, let's get into that when we do the next podcast. But so cost wise, Richard, like let's say it's a 5 kilowatt system, ballpark me or ballpark the viewers here so that they can get an idea. What would that ballpark cost, do you think?
I'd say probably about $17,000. So after the grant, that would bring you down to about $12,000.
12,000, and then maybe they can qualify for that interest-free loan. And then because it took me a little while because I don't know, took me a little while to get on the producer that you recommended. I have no idea why, but anyways, we won't get into that, maybe next time. But anyways, I finally got onto it, and then I was getting these bills, and I realized the credits in the summertime. I was getting credits, and my gas is on there, like the gas consumption is on there too. And the bill, it's all like rider fees and everything. So you're always going to get a bill, but that was foreign to me to get credit bills and substantial, like a couple hundred, 150 or a couple $100 credit, which was kind of a neat thing to have, right?
Yeah, there's no better feeling than opening up an energy bill and they owe you money. And you're absolutely correct, because that will pay for your electricity, of course, but your natural gas, your water, your transmission, distribution, and your rider fees. So when you get that credit or that tariff, that's as good as cash. So that will pay for anything on your bill. And again, too, if you do something called rate switching, where you lock yourself in at the highest fixed rate possible on the spring solstice, so pretty much March, whatever rate you're buying your power at, you're selling at the same rate. So if you lock yourself in at the highest fixed rate possible for those peak performing months, you can sell your energy back at almost double what you're buying it for today. So then you can really stretch your gains all the way up to December or January, like I did for myself this year.
So if you're getting credit bills, that could actually offset the loan payment. I mean, you'd have to do your own numbers, and people should have a little bit of wiggle room in their monthly budget anyways. But if you're getting credits on your bill, then that could offset a lot of the loan payments. So someone could it's an affordable way to get into a system, as long as you get in before March.
That's right. Yeah, it's just money back in your pocket. And people who are interested in getting the loan, think of it as the levelized cost of energy, because the rates could go up, they could skyrocket more and more and more each year. But with this loan, your payments are going to be staying the same for at least 10 years for the length of the loan. So if things are astronomical and maybe 2 or 3 years from now, then at least exactly what your energy bill is going to be. But not every person, exactly, you're locked in at that rate. And not everybody who's been getting the loan has been getting the grant. Sorry, not everybody who's been getting the grant has been asking or applying for the loan. So it's just there for people to help. And I'd say probably it's almost like a 50-50, but the majority, yeah, people are only getting the loan if they absolutely need it.
Okay. So two things that came to mind or came to mind earlier. SkyFire, what's your elevator pitch in terms of what's the advantage to solar consumers going to SkyFire?
Well, we've been in business for about 23 years, so we're one of the number one installers in Western Canada. We do residential, we do commercial, we do industrial and utility scale projects. I think it's close to 33% of all solar installed in Western Canada has been through our company.
Okay.
Um, we're really great. Well, of course, I think we're great because I work for the company, but
Shameless plug. Why not?
yeah, my
We're here
primary,
for you.
my
Yeah.
primary, yeah, thanks, Jesse. My primary job is just mainly to educate people. We don't really have like pushy salespeople by any means. We consider ourselves engineers and scientists. All we want to do is realistically provide you with the information that you need to make an educated decision. And if you want to move forward, then you sign a contract with us.
Okay, perfect. And then the final thing before we go then, what is it gonna like, how can a buyer, like you said, you're busy now, it's a rush with people trying to get on before this program comes to an end, the grant. So how can people that want solar, how can they make it easy to work, or what would make it easy for them to work with you so that it's more efficient and it saves everybody's time? What would be, are there any things that they should do in order to reach out to you, or how can they make it easy for themselves and for you?
Yeah, so the number one first thing that people should do if they're interested in pursuing something like this will be to enroll for the grant. So just get your foot in the door at least before March, and then reach out to me, or you can have them provide their information to you, and you can send that to me, whatever works easiest for them. But in order for me to get started, all I need is a copy of their most recent energy bill, and I need a picture of their breaker panel, and then everything else I can do with my software. So I can look at their house, and I've got expensive software where we can look at high definition photos of your house. Then I'll draw a 3D model of your house from scratch, and then I pretty much place as much solar on the roof that I can in order to get you to net zero. So again, if people think I've got a huge roof, let's max out the roof, that's just one part of it. You have to have the space on your roof, the space in your breaker panel, and the backfeed capacity. So don't want to get too much into detail with that, but it's super easy for me to do. Most of the time, I just have to look at the breaker panel and I can already determine what that is without taking the faceplate off. But realistically, if somebody can provide me with a energy bill and a picture of the breaker panel, that's all I need.
Okay, perfect. So, I mean, in order to, I don't want to create a bottleneck, so I'll just send them to you, right? Or they
Sure.
can, whoever's viewing this and wants to, they can reach out to you. Is it okay if I put your info down below, like your email and everything?
Yeah, by all means. And even if they don't want to, come directly to me, we have a wonderful welcome team with my company. So no matter what their information, will start with them, and then it'll be distributed to either myself or some of my other colleagues. And we're in Calgary, we're in Edmonton, and we're in Kelowna. So we've got the West covered. Best in the West.
Best in the West. I like that. So, I mean, we might as well send them to you. If you can't help them, if you're too busy, then I guess you can point them in the right direction, right?
Sure.
So it sounds like number one, get your foot, what you're saying, get your foot in the door with the program, and
Mm-hmm.
we'll link that down below as well, so people can just go in and sign up right away. And then if they can email you a copy of their breaker panel and their most recent electricity bill, is that
Yes, so I won't need all 12 months. I just need the most recent one because there's a little bar graph on there. And I've got a special program where I can extrapolate all that data just from that bar graph. And
oh,
it's very accurate and very fast. So instead of, people having to dig up, months and months of energy bills and have me go through that stuff, we don't need that. The only time I would need all 12 months is if it was an expansion project. So you've already had solar and you want to add more to get you back to net zero. That's when we need to look at your import and your export and then really get down to the brass tacks.
okay, so it sounds like that's pretty easy actually to get going if people want to do that. You're running out of time, like time is ticking. It's January 14th. So I appreciate you coming on the show, Richard.
Yeah.
Maybe you'll help some people save some money and get some solar on their roofs in time and take advantage of this program now just for you coming on the show here.
Yeah, it would be my pleasure. And thank you again for having me. And again, my job is to educate people. I'm not here to force them into any contracts or whatnot, but I want to be able to show them what they have, what they can have. And at the end of the day, if they can get solar on their house, then it's just another great system installed with SkyFire.
Yeah, happy to help them, I'm sure.
Yes.
Cool. All right, brother. Well, thank you so much. Let's leave it at that. And we'll, like I say, we'll look at doing another full one on SkyFire and your experience with the company and all of that stuff. And if people are interested, maybe we'll have a little scotch and chat about our life story down the road too. Anyways, have a great evening. Talk to you soon, man.
Sounds good. Take care, Jesse.
All right. See ya.
Bye-bye.